We're here in the beautiful Malta. We meet interesting people like Ben GOERTZEL, famous from the Sophia robots. We all know, actually. And here's the inventor of Sophia, isn't it?
I led the software team behind Sophia, and my colleague David Hansen, who's actually also here at the Malta AI and Blockchain Summit, he did the hardware and sculpted the face and so forth. So my focus was on the AI behind the robot, which led me to what I'm doing now, which is leading the Singularity Net Project, which is a decentralized or blockchain-based AI platform, which is created to serve smarter AI to Sophia and other robots like her, but also to software and hardware devices of many other kinds as well.
All right. How does this idea of Sophia actually erupted? How did it came along? I mean,
well, David Hansen and I were both motivated by, science fictional and transhumanist dreams for a long time, and motivated by the idea of creating, a compassionate technological singularity. We could both see, since well before we knew each other, that AIs are going to become much smarter than people, and we want that to happen in a beneficial way, where the AIs are compassionate to humans, other sentient beings, and each other. So my work was more on the core algorithms of thinking, whereas David was interested in that, but he was working more on, what's the interface between the AI and people? How can you get the AI to empathize with people, to understand people, and to love and be loved by people? So David's vision about emotional and social robotics and human-robot interaction synergized well with my work on AI and language processing and such, and then that came together in a collaboration where he did the hardware and I did the software.
All right. What do you put in a robot? I mean, where do you start? I mean, it's...
Well, there's a lot of different pieces to this Sophia robot, just like there's a lot of pieces to the human body that are all working together. Sophia has, I guess, 35 or so motors inside her head that help move the face in different expressions. Her processors are actually in the torso rather than in the head. Okay. But then, there's more processing power in the cloud than on board the robot. So for really deep thinking or understanding, we want to rely on, massive cloud-based networks, which again is where blockchain comes in, because using blockchain within the Singularity Net platform, we make a system where a huge number of different AIs living all over the world, hosted by different people, communicating by a decentralized protocol using Ethereum blockchain. I mean, all these AIs all around the world can coordinate together into an overall decentralized network, and then the AI running in the robot's torso, through Wi-Fi 3G or whatever, it contacts the larger AI mind living in the cloud. So it's a sort of there are multiple levels. So for something like seeing what's right in front of her, or moving a piece of the body, you tend to use processing on board the robot because it has to be really fast. You can't afford any networking delays. Okay. But if you ask her a harder question, or she needs to recognize something she doesn't see that often, that goes up to the cloud to figure it out. The other advantage of the cloud is it allows all the different robots and other AIs to share knowledge. So, I mean, you and I learn something, we have to exchange it by moving our mouth and making noises, right? But if two AIs want to share knowledge, one of them can just upload knowledge they gain to the cloud. It becomes part of the global robot mind cloud, and then other robots can mine that knowledge as they need. This is a big advantage of being an AI over being a human, right?
But simple human conditions, like some feelings, like can two AIs get in love together, or is that possible?
We haven't really tried to emulate the human body in that much detail, and something like romantic love, it's as much a physiological thing, really, as a cognitive thing. And the robot's body is just so different than the human body. It's not going to have the same kinds of feeling. I mean, there's no sex organs, right? And there's no heart that beats. There's no sweat glands. So it's not quite the same thing. But at a more abstract level, I would say a robot can have compassion. A robot can have kinds of love, and probably just different kinds of love than people. Like, imagine if you could occupy 1 million bodies at one time, or see through sensors all around the world at once. I mean, your whole way of feeling is going to be quite different, right? Not necessarily less genuine or less intense, but it's different because we're very centered in this one body. Whereas a robot could save itself, it could copy itself, port itself through different bodies. It's going to have. It's a whole different type of experience, actually, which is interesting. Now, perhaps one could try to build a robot that had the same body feelings as a human. It's just we don't have that right now, right? I mean, Sophia has a very flexible face, but in the end, it's metal, right? It's mostly metal and wires and plastic, so it's...
And you choose a woman. I mean... Like Sophia is a woman.
A lot of robots. So I mean, Hanson Robotics has a male robot named Han. It has an Albert Einstein robot. It has a replica of Philip K. Dick, the science fiction writer. It has Bina 48, which is a replica of a middle-aged African American woman. It happens that Sophia, a young, attractive, sort of race-neutral woman, happens to be the one that got so much attention. But that has more to do with what the mass mind wants to pay attention to, because Hanson Robotics, we built a lot of different robots, actually.
Would you be like, do you have yourself the ambition to be like an AI or AI version? Just wondering.
I would like to make multiple copies of myself, actually. So one of them can remain human and enjoy what it is to be human. Maybe another one can be a cyborg with a bunch of computer brain implants. Another can upload itself into a virtual world and transform into something tremendously beyond the human level. I mean, why not if you can, right? And you can save a few backup copies on the hard drive in case all these go wrong as well.
All right. So yeah, what I mean, obviously there's this fear. It was also mentioned in the podcast with Joe Rogan. There was this fear of actually AIs taking over. It was also in the podcast with Elon Musk and I mean the fear of AIs taking over. I mean, human.
Well, I think AI will become much smarter than human beings and much more powerful than human beings. So I mean, if an AI was oriented to take over and do nasty things to people, that certainly could happen. On the other hand, I don't see any strong reason to believe that's what will happen. It really has to do with how we build the AI and how we teach the AI. And, this is why it's important to, train the AI in a compassionate and loving way. It's why we want AI teachers and elder care workers and medical researchers and so on. Not purely AI soldiers, surveillance drones and advertising agents.
So you can actually train and coach an AI.
You can teach an AI. AIs are learning systems, and you can teach an AI just like you teach a human kid, and some things it learns faster than a person, some things it learns slower than a person.
Okay. What made you personally so indulge in this topic? I mean, you're a computer science by...
I'm a mathematician by training, actually.
Yeah, by training, yeah.
I was interested in AI since I was maybe 3 or 4 years old in late 1960s and early 1970s. I mean...
You told about the ants colony.
From science fiction, really, from watching Star Trek on TV, I think... Space 1999, right? As soon as I saw these AI robots, I'm like, well, A, that's really interesting. B, it could be a lot more interesting than these TV shows are making it, because it seemed obvious that AI should be able to, double itself, triple itself, send copies of itself everywhere. I didn't understand, even as a toddler, I didn't understand why the AIs were arbitrarily capped at human level intelligence, right? So I mean, it seemed like cars aren't capped at driving as fast as people can run, right? Why shouldn't AI's intelligence be capped at human level? So as a very young kid, I got interested in this from science fiction. And then, you know, as I got into my teenage years, it became clear to me that this was something you could actually work on. Like there was a real AI field out there.
People working on AIs.
Yeah, people working on AIs, not nearly as many as now, but it was a real thing, right?
All right. So what is your dream? What is your, I mean, what's the end goal when Ben GOERTZEL, how do we have to remember you?
Well, you don't have to remember me. I don't really give a shit, to be honest. But yeah. Okay. You can forget me right after this interview. It's fine. But I mean,
no ego.
Not too much anymore. No. I think the main thing I'm after really is to see that a beneficial technological singularity is created, and that as superhuman AI comes about, it's a compassionate superhuman AI toward humans, animals, plants, other AIs, and everything. I mean, if this happens partly because of my agency, of course I'll feel gratified to play a big part in it, but honestly, if it happened while I was asleep at night and I woke up the next morning and a beneficial superhuman AI was making everyone's life wonderful, I mean, I'm not going to lose any sleep over the fact that was done by somebody besides myself, right? So, I mean, what worries me is not so much that super AI won't be created. I think it almost certainly will, but it could be created in a stupid way that just causes unnecessary collateral damage en route. Like, I think things are going to be great 50 years from now, but we could have a relatively smooth path there, or we could have a path there in which there's a lot of suffering and death and war and terrorism, all sorts of issues.
So what are the variables? What are the variables of putting? What are the variables for this disaster? I mean, or to actually avoid the disaster?
Well, some of the variables are things we just don't know because we haven't created general intelligences yet. But I think that the centralization of AI is a major problem, and that right now most AI on the planet is controlled by 2 major countries and maybe a dozen large companies. Most AI developers are hired by these entities. Most data is stockpiled by these entities. Most AI processing power, right? So then most AI on the planet is being used to pursue what goals? You know, maximizing the stability and security of 2 big countries, or maximizing shareholder value of a dozen large corporations, instead of humanity developing AI, you know, toward the good of humanity and toward the maximally good superhuman mind, right? So I think we need to wrest control of AI as it develops from the handful of powers that are now seizing control of AI, and just put it in the hands of everyone, because humanity is a mess, but still the whole mess of humanity is going to do a better job of creating super intelligence than 2 big governments, one of them headed by Donald Trump, and a dozen large corporations whose ethical lapses are very well known of late. And this is where blockchain comes in, because blockchain doesn't help your AI in itself run faster or be smarter, but blockchain helps your network of AIs operate in a way that doesn't require any single point of ownership.
Decentralized.
A blockchain-based network can be a bunch of AIs that all solve people's problems and pay the creators of the AI and help each other do their work, cooperate to solve problems, but nobody owns this network of AIs, so nobody controls this network of AIs, right? And blockchain is the infrastructure that can allow that, right? And that's a critical part of the infrastructure we need to create, you know, a beneficial technological singularity.
So we need blockchain and AI. They're 2 hands on 1 belly. I mean.
Yeah, blockchain is. I think blockchain, like the internet, you know, like GPUs, blockchain is a key part of the infrastructure we need to create an intelligent, benevolent, AI global brain.
Yeah. All right. So what do you see for the future? I mean, we obviously know the movie Ready Player One. We have like this other world, and do you think that there is another world? I mean, do you believe in aliens?
I believe that humanity understands almost nothing about the nature of the universe we live in. I often think about what my dog at home thinks I'm doing when I'm sitting at the computer typing and using the internet. Like, I'm wiggling my fingers and I'm guarding this monitor, right? The dog has no idea that I'm communicating with people all around the world or controlling vast networks of computers sitting in Germany or something, right? And it's right there, but it can't understand. So in a similar way, there's probably many aspects of our world that are right there in front of us, and we're just too stupid to see what they are. And once we have a superhuman AI or we've upgraded our brains, we're going to see it, right? I don't know what that is, and it's probably nothing whatsoever like what I'm expecting. But the older I've gotten, the more I've been increased of my own ignorance and the ignorance of everybody on the planet.
And do you think we're gonna like our grandchildren are gonna travel to other planets, or just guessing?
Whether humans in the human body will travel to other planets are not that far, right? I mean, Mars is just a few months away. Going out to the stars maybe for the robots or the mind uploads, because unless physics is wrong, that's going to be many thousands or tens of thousands of years of transit time, which is going to be sort of a drag. But there may be ways to teleport to other galaxies. There may be other dimensions we can port ourselves to.
Teleport, yeah.
I mean, we don't know. 100 years ago, they thought physics was done. Then there came quantum theory and relativity and all this, right? I mean, there may be whole new dimensions to the physical universe that we just don't understand yet. Once you create an AGI and have it attach its sensors at the quantum level, it may develop entirely new theories of physics than we have. We really don't know what's to come. Our job is to get to the next level. Build something 2, 3, 10 times as smart as us, which is compassionate to us, and let that smarter thing figure out the next levels.
All right. And do you actually believe in a second life, or do you only have like one life, or do you believe actually in reincarnation?
I believe that there is some phenomenon that's real underlying reports of reincarnation, and there's a lot of literature on this. I mean, there's all these people who are born with detailed memories of someone else's life, even with a birthmark where that other guy got injured or something. So there's a lot of data that's hard to whitewash away if you really study it. On the other hand, the detailed stories told by the world's various religions about reincarnation, I don't especially believe. What seems to be the case to me is that our four-dimensional universe, our space-time continuum, should be viewed as embedded in some sort of broader space with many different aspects to it. And so, like me at this time and me or someone else at another time, we're separated in this four-dimensional universe. Maybe they're right next to each other in some higher dimensional space. But again, it comes down to there's so much to the universe that we don't know, just like there's so much that my dog doesn't know that is clear to me. There's a lot that I don't know that will be clear to a super AI that we create, right? Now, fortunately for my dogs, although I understand a lot more than them, I'm beneficially oriented toward them, and I'll use my greater knowledge to help them out. An interesting question is whether I would uplift my dogs to human level intelligence if I had the ability to, and whether they would accept it or ask to be downgraded because it's better to be a dog, right? But similarly, we hope the AIs that we create that are much smarter than us, they'll be kindly disposed to us and maybe offer us the opportunity to upgrade to their level and use their greater knowledge to make our lives better. Because my dog didn't create me, but we are creating the super AI, so we have some say over, is it nice to us, is it nasty to us, does it just ignore us? And what worries me is we're creating AI now without really thinking about what we're doing. We're creating AI now to sell people stuff and to spy on people and to bomb people and to do financial trading. We're not creating AI from the standpoint of, hey, these AIs, they're ingredients in the next generation of mind that's going to be smarter and more powerful than us. We're creating AI as a side effect of pursuing short-sighted, nationalist and commercial goals, which is a little strange, but I mean that's part of evolution. In the end, evolution has done a lot of strange things.
So we still have a long road ahead. I mean, and actually, last question: what is actually the super AI? Is it like what kind of?
It's a god relative to us, right? I mean, like you're a god relative to an ant or a bacterium, right? I mean, the super AI, once something is smarter than you by a large enough margin, as Arthur C. Clarke had said, any sufficiently advanced technology is indistinguishable from magic, right? So,
okay, so it's not like a physical thing. The super AI is like a conscience.
Mind is not physical. A mind is a pattern of arrangement, and it happens that our minds are associated with individual brains, physical systems, but already Sophia's mind can be ported. She has 6 different bodies that are in operation around the world now, and if you mass produce it, it could be 1 million, right? And it could be saved in a hard drive, or it could be put in a different type of body. So already with AI now, the mind is the pattern of arrangement of bits, right? It's disassociated from the particular body. So a super AI will be a particular, dynamic pattern of organization of information. It may need to be realized in some physical system, but it could port from many different physical systems to another. I mean, just like right now you have virtual machines, right? It doesn't matter whether you're running Linux on bare metal, or are you run Linux in a container on Windows, or is it Linux in a container on Windows it's running in a container in Mac OS or something, right? Already with computers right now, the bare metal almost doesn't matter. It's in the pattern of arrangement of bits.
Ethereum is also like a virtual machine.
Exactly. This universe that we're in may well be a virtual machine, and we don't know it.
Okay, so what are your top 3 pickings in the market? Yeah, just another out of the blue question, but do you actually follow the whole crypto market? Or
I certainly try not to, because I'm very bullish on crypto in the long term, but the ups and downs are mostly driven by speculative mania and market manipulation by a handful of powerful actors, rather than by the fundamental value of the underlying instruments. And whereas in the long term, I think those projects that are really doing something fundamental, the price will go up in the long term. But in the short term, those may still go up and down like crazy. I mean, of course, our own token, the AGI token from Singularity Net platform, it's been going up and down, but in the long run, as we build the infrastructure for the world's AI, I mean that's going to be very, very, very interesting to observe what happens. Ocean Protocol, I'm strongly in favor of. I mean, they're building a big data infrastructure, which can support massive global AI, and Cardano is a project I'm a big fan of. I've been a Haskell programmer for years, and Cardano is, it's taking a while to mature, but it's a very solid foundation for blockchain. But honestly, there's many dozens of really cool projects out there now, and I think in the next couple of years we're going to see more of these really show practical utilization, and it's going to become clear which of the many blockchain projects out there are actually building something critical to the next phase of the economy, and which ones are maybe interesting ideas but they didn't know how to execute on them.
True. Do you invest in Bitcoin, Ethereum, or?
I have never sold any. I do own some, but I'm a long-term hodler. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Ben, for your time and insights. Always a pleasure to talk through all the concepts of AI and the super AI, and all the best with the project. Singularity Net, Sophia. Is it going to be a Sophia 2.0 or?
Well, Sophia is sort of her own character, and that's continually upgraded. But Hanson Robotics is going to mass produce human-scale humanoid robots. They may have a name different than Sophia. That's still in the works. Okay. But once you have mass-produced humanoid robots, coming out of factories, then that's going to be an amazingly interesting opportunity for Singularity Net. I mean, both an application for Singularity Net, and it's going to be a amazing source of data to feed into the global AI mind.
All right. Thank you very much again, and all the best with your talk here.
All right. Thank you.